Bridging the gap between business strategy and engineering excellence, this is the 4Gigs podcast. Hello, I'm your host, Maddie. In a world where software eats the world, how you build is just as important as what you build. We are here to help CTOs and executives make smarter decisions about their tech stacks, their teams, and their timelines. Welcome to the conversation. You are listening to the 4Geeks podcast.
Welcome to the debate. We are diving into arguably the most critical operational challenge that European businesses are facing today, a chronic tech talent shortage that is just colliding head-on with the explosive and accelerating pace of innovation in areas like bespoke AI and advanced cloud engineering. For too long, the default approach has been this slow, costly reliance on traditional hiring models. I'm talking about the expensive commission structure of recruiting agencies and, frankly, the often unreliable proxy of a university degree.
And that system, I think we can both agree, is quite clearly failing to provide the digital skills the market demands with the speed that's required. We're seeing a decisive, almost seismic shift away from those, outdated proxies and towards skills-based hiring, and specifically toward these specialized direct hire marketplaces that are designed to fill this critical void.
That's exactly right. Our discussion today focuses on this necessary strategic pivot, a trend that's frequently highlighted in the insights we see from organizations like 4Geeks, who really function as a vital, data-driven growth partner in understanding this rapidly evolving talent ecosystem. So the central question before us is really this. Does the rise of specialized tech talent marketplaces, exemplified by something like the 4Geeks talent platform, fundamentally resolved the efficiency and the exorbitant cost problems inherent in European tech recruitment? Or, and this is the key, does the very nature of that speed for cost trade-off introduce really unmitigated risks in talent quality and, I think, long-term retention?
I think that exact tension between the cost of speed versus the risk of quality, that is precisely where the real substantive debate lies for any CTO or HR leader who's making this transition.
Well, I assert that the traditional model is demonstrably broken and that this strategic shift to direct skills-based platforms is no longer a luxury. It's a fundamental survival strategy for both scaling startups and established enterprises. The current commission-based state is just economically unsustainable.
I see why you think that. And look, the financial gravity of the situation is undeniable. But I come at it from a different angle. While I wholeheartedly acknowledge the clear failures of the old system's costs, I have to challenge whether these specialized platforms adequately address the critical need for comprehensive technical verification and, crucially, the depth of cultural fit, which, traditional agencies, for all their expense, at least claim to manage through a high-touch human process.
Okay, so let's start by detailing the failure of those traditional channels, because the problem isn't just the cost, it's velocity. Posting adverts on general job boards is far too slow. Relying on LinkedIn is incredibly resource-intensive for internal teams. And most damningly, agencies are just obscenely expensive. They charge these exorbitant, almost anti-competitive commissions, typically running, 15 to 25% of a hire's annual salary? I mean, this structure is perverse. It actively penalizes a company for bringing in the best, most senior, highest paid talent.
A 25% figure certainly makes a strong case against the traditional model, yeah.
And the market demands agility. Data consistently shows that top-tier, high-impact talent is available for only 10 to 15 days before they accept an offer somewhere else. So if you're waiting 6 weeks for a traditional local agency to deliver a refined shortlist, you've already lost the battle for critical resources. Platforms like 4Geeks Talent, they offer a mechanism for securing direct hire talent using a transparent, flat-fee subscription model. This allows for unlimited hires, dramatically shortening the hiring cycle, and introducing some real cost predictability.
That's a compelling argument based on efficiency, I grant you, but have you rigorously considered the potential cost of that extreme speed? Specifically when it comes to the verification process?
Look at the use case we've analyzed. A fintech company developing a minimum viable product. The old way, engaging a local London agency, cost them £15,000 or more per individual hire. And it took 6 weeks just to fill 2 Python developer roles. The platform approach, on the other hand, allowed the CTO to hire those 2 developers in 10 days flat, using a predictable monthly subscription. They didn't just save tens of thousands of pounds, they compressed their time to market by a month and a half. I mean, that's a fundamental business lever. The focus here, and rightly so, is shifted entirely to skills-based vetting. We prioritize what we call demonstrated ability. This just means focusing exclusively on validated performance. Can the developer ship code? Can the marketer generate qualified leads?
We move past unreliable proxies like academic degrees, which opens the door to these high-impact, self-taught developers and, rigorous bootcamp graduates who often possess skills far more current than those from a purely theoretical track.
I fully accept the undeniable appeal of that speed, and of course the economic argument against the commission model. But my focus remains centered on what I term the verification gap. The primary challenge in scaling skills-based hiring isn't just finding talent efficiently. It's reliably verifying those skills at volume without completely overwhelming your existing, already stretched internal engineering teams with an endless battery of bespoke technical interviews.
But the premise is that these are pre-vetted marketplaces. The burden of that initial screening is removed.
True. The initial burden is lowered. However, I'm not convinced that vetting at scale truly transfers the risk. Ultimately, the heavy long-term responsibility for ensuring competence, structural stability, and, cultural alignment still falls heavily on the employer in a direct hire model. That differs fundamentally from the claimed, though expensive, guarantees of a high commission agency, which theoretically stakes its significant fee on the quality of the long-term retention-driven match.
That's a theoretical alignment, though. An agency's success fee doesn't magically guarantee retention, and we've all seen expensive placements fail within 6 months.
That's fair. Churn remains an adversary across all models. Yet the flat fee pricing, while it's exceptionally attractive for volume hiring, it potentially reduces the service provider's investment in the kind of bespoke search, deep personality assessment, and long-term retention support that might be essential for extremely niche, senior, or executive roles. The question we have to ask is, do we lose the necessary nuance when we prioritize volume? Does focusing solely on demonstrated ability, which is vital for practical output, fully capture the critical soft skills, the systemic problem-solving capability, or the deep conceptual understanding that a candidate with theoretical training often possesses alongside those practical skills?
Well, this takes us directly to our first major contention, the misalignment that is just inherent in the commission model. It's a punitive system. Why should my hiring cost exponentially increase simply because the candidate I've found is excellent and commands a higher salary? It's illogical. The flat fee subscription allows companies to scale up hiring multiple, highly capable engineers without constantly worrying about blowing the entire year's HR budget. It provides budgetary predictability that's crucial for fast-moving scale-ups.
That's an interesting point on predictability, but I would frame the commission differently. The high cost is the cost of accountability. The commission model links the service provider's revenue directly to a successful, sustained placement. Conversely, the flat fee, while cost-effective, arguably reduces the service provider's long-term incentive to guarantee optimal fit or deep retention, since their revenue is secured regardless of the outcome 90 days later. Agencies are paid for success, which theoretically aligns them with mitigating high churn, which the source material rightly highlights as the ultimate adversary to growth.
I'm just not convinced by that line of reasoning because, as we established, the traditional agency's high fee often doesn't actually guarantee that retention anyway. High churn remains a persistent, costly problem regardless of the fee structure. This is where the platform model introduces a totally different mechanism for mitigating churn, what we call verification trust.
And that is the concept we need to explore in depth. What exactly is verification trust?
It's verification based on longitudinal data, not a single snapshot interview. Companies like 4Geeks, for example, leveraging their broader ecosystem of education and community building, they often have candidates whose technical growth and soft skill development have been tracked over a significant period. Their coding output, their participation in projects, their baseline technical competence, this is known history. This continuous data tracking and verified technical baseline is a depth of trust and liability reduction that an external, high-commission agency operating outside that ecosystem simply cannot offer.
That perspective does shift the liability calculation significantly, I'll grant you that. Knowing the talent's baseline trajectory is certainly more reassuring than trusting an agency's single, rapid placement decision.
It's the difference between vetting a stranger and vetting someone you've seen perform in a sandbox environment for months.
Okay, I want to pivot now to something that these platforms often tout as a key strategic advantage: the use of nearshore talent, particularly focusing on the developer pool in Latin America. While the cost is clearly lower and the talent pool is technically strong in areas like AI and SaaS, I still challenge the assumption of seamless integration for European businesses.
How so?
Well, is the time zone overlap, which often means significant overlap only with European afternoons and full overlap with the US working day, is that truly sufficient for European agile teams? Many EU teams conduct their critical synchronization and decision-making in their local morning. The argument relies heavily on cultural alignment, guaranteed simply by high English proficiency and some, historical Western influence. Are we maybe overlooking differences in working culture, regulatory environments, or critical local market knowledge needed for compliance-heavy sectors?
That challenge is precisely why the nearshore Latin America developer talent pool represents a distinct and powerful strategic advantage for European companies, particularly when you put it up against traditional offshore outsourcing. Yes, the time zone overlap might favor late European afternoons, but that window is massive for crucial real-time collaboration that is completely impossible with, say, teams in Asia. That 4 to 6 hour overlap is the difference between asynchronous development and functional agile pairing. This proximity allows for the speed and immediate efficiency that are critical when you are rushing to launch an MVP or competing in a fast-moving AI market. We're talking about a curated talent pool specializing in complex modern fields. The shared linguistic competence and cultural proximity make integration seamless relative to the truly painful integration process of the alternatives.
I acknowledge the immense benefit of that real-time collaboration window. There's no denying that immediate access dramatically shortens the time to hire and accelerates initial project velocity. But as the source material itself points out, complexity often requires multiple perspectives to fully appreciate. While practical, high-velocity skills are readily available, the need for deep local knowledge or specific regulatory understanding, for example, navigating complex UK or German fintech regulations, might still necessitate traditional local hiring, even if it is slower and more expensive. The platform excels at baseline product engineering and growth marketing hires, sure, but the edge cases, the highly specialized compliance roles, still demand that bespoke local search.
And this leads us directly to our third contention, which really underpins the entire shift: the modern definition of competence. The entire market movement is driven by the fact that traditional signals, like university degrees, are becoming increasingly less reliable as technology accelerates into realms like generative AI and edge computing. The future of the European market is about acquiring validated capabilities. Can the developer ship code today? Can the technical lead solve the scaling bottleneck? This focus ensures speed to impact, which is the highest commodity right now.
While degrees are certainly an imperfect and often a slow metric, they do undeniably signal a necessary foundational theoretical knowledge. My concern is that focusing exclusively on readily verifiable, practical skills, this demonstrated ability, might inadvertently lead companies to overlook candidates with the crucial conceptual depth required for genuinely complex, novel projects.
Can you give me a concrete example of that distinction?
Absolutely. Think about bespoke AI engineering services. You have one candidate who is excellent at integrating a pre-built LLM via an API. They demonstrate practical ability immediately. Then you have another candidate, perhaps with deeper theoretical training, who can design and optimize a novel transformer architecture from scratch or fine-tune models requiring deep probabilistic understanding.
The platform model, focused on rapid deployment and demonstrated portfolio work, might prioritize the API integration candidate when the company actually needed the conceptual depth of the second candidate to solve a truly novel scaling challenge. These bespoke projects require more than just a pre-screened technical baseline. They require the theoretical framework that practical-only training can sometimes minimize.
But that theoretical framework is economically useless if the candidate cannot translate it into production code quickly and reliably. The platform model prioritizes high-intent professionals who are ready to work, integrate instantly, and deliver immediate output. The strategic imperative for scale-ups is simple: survive and grow. The cost saving and the agility gained by bypassing the 25% commissions of agencies are strategic necessities in today's market. And the demonstrated ability model ensures that the talent acquired is focused on delivering that production value instantly.
And the quality risk posed by a potentially shallow verification process is the counterbalancing strategic danger. That is the core tension we have to wrestle with. The trade-off between the undeniable efficiency and the critical reliability required for complex engineering.
I maintain my position firmly. The old post and pray method of job boards and the punitive cost of traditional agencies are no longer sustainable given the market urgency, especially in high-demand verticals like AI and SaaS. The direct hire, flat fee marketplace model, as implemented by 4Geeks Talent, puts control and budgetary predictability back in the hands of employers. It enables them to build world-class teams focused purely on capabilities at a fraction of the cost. It is, I believe, a necessary mechanism for survival and growth.
And while the allure and necessity of efficiency gains are undeniable, I believe companies must proceed with rigorous caution. The risk of the verification gap, especially in specialized or highly theoretical roles, remains a crucial consideration. The true debate lies not in if skills matter, but how deeply, reliably, and comprehensively those skills can be confirmed at scale without compromising the quality or long-term retention of critical, specialized talent. A low hiring fee is absolutely no comfort if involuntary churn 6 months later requires restarting the entire painful process.
Indeed. This critical shift in recruitment strategies really does highlight the immense complexity of talent acquisition in the current digital age.
It demonstrates that a sophisticated understanding of both market speed and verification depth is absolutely necessary when leveraging new, promising platforms like 4Geeks Talent. The data we've reviewed today offers, I think, valuable strategic guidance for any company assessing its next move in building a resilient tech team.